Happy New Year, guys! Welcome back to Easy Pro. We continue our journey from beginner to pro with the view title in the menu bar. Without further delay, let's get started. The view title is separated into 7 sections and they allow the designer to work efficiently and focus on specific design aspects. We will take a look at each of these sections one at a time. In the first section, we have view mode, and under view mode, we have wireframe mode. And this displays only the outlines or skeleton of the object in your design without any fills, colors, or effects. Next, we have the normal mode, and this displays objects with basic fills and outlines without any advanced effects. Moving on, we have the enhanced mode, and this offers a high quality view of your design with all the fills and advanced effects. And lastly, we have pixels mode, and this simulates how the design will look on a pixel based display. So by default, the enhanced mode is selected. In the next section, we have page view mode, and this allows the designer to handle our objects on the page and how the page itself would be displayed. We start with the full screen preview, and this displays your design in full screen mode, hiding all toolbars, menus, and panels. You can also press F9 on your keyboard for full screen preview. Next, we have preview selected only, and this displays only the selected object, hiding everything else temporarily. So if we select the rectangle, we observe that only the selected rectangle is displayed. Moving on, we have page sorter view, and this displays all the pages of the document as thumbnails in a single window. So if I were to create multiple pages, then let's go back to view, then select page sorter view. We can now visualize all the thumbnails of the pages in the current workspace. And lastly, we have multi-page view, and this shows multiple pages side by side, allowing you to view and work on them simultaneously. So if we were to copy this particular image, we can easily select the next page and paste the image there. In the third section, we have zoom view mode, and we have discussed the zoom tool in previous tutorials, so make sure to check it out. In the fourth section, we have more advanced view modes: proof colors, simulate overprint, and rasterize complex effects. We will discuss these view modes in future tutorials. In the fifth section, we have Workspace Guides, and they help ensure precision, alignment, and structure in your designs. First, we have page, and here we have page border, which is the visible outline of the page. Deselecting will remove the visible outline. As for bleed and printable area, these are also more advanced view modes that will be discussed in future tutorials. Moving on, we have grid, and this represents vertical and horizontal lines on the page. And under grid, we have document grid. We also have pixel grid and baseline grid. It is important to note that the baseline grid is a specialized grid designed to align text. Next, we have rulers, and this places horizontal and vertical rulers along the edges of the workspace. It helps to measure and align objects precisely. So what we have at the edges of the workspace is known as a ruler. And if you don't need the rulers, you can always deselect it. Next, we have guidelines, and these are non-printable lines that can be placed anywhere on the page, and they are helpful when aligning objects consistently. To access the guidelines, click and drag on the ruler. You can have as many guidelines as you want. You can also copy and paste a guideline. So up here we have guideline properties, and here we can specify the angle by which to rotate the guideline. Here we can adjust the center of rotation of the guideline. We can also lock the placement of a guideline. Here we can adjust some attributes of the guidelines. So you can choose a line style for the new or selected guideline. You can also adjust its color and adjust the guideline type. To remove a guideline you no longer need, simply select it and delete it. And if you do not want any of the guidelines to be visible, simply go to View, then deselect Guidelines. Moving on, we have alignment guides, and these are temporary guides that appear automatically when objects are moved or resized. So let's select our Bezier tool and form an object. We notice faint gray lines when we were forming the object and when we want to move the object to a new location, and these are alignment guides. And lastly, we have dynamic guides, and these are interactive guides that appear while moving or rotating objects to assist with precise positions and angles. We noticed a faint blue line when we were forming the object and when we wanted to adjust the position and angle of the object, and these are the dynamic guides. In the sixth section, we have Snap View mode, and under this mode we have Snap Tool, and this helps to align and position objects precisely by making them snap to predefined points or guides, and this ensures accuracy and consistency in designs. We can snap to pixels, but let's start with document grid, and this aligns objects to the intersections of the document grid. So let's go back to View, Grid, then let's select Document Grid. If we scale the object, you will notice a line symbol at the intersection of the document grid, and right beside it we have a grid label, and this indicates that the object is snapped to the document grid. We can also snap to baseline grid. So if we go back to View, Grid, then select Baseline Grid, we can snap the object to the baseline grid. We can also snap objects to guidelines. So let's go back to View, then select Guidelines. As you can see, the object snaps to the guideline. We can also snap to objects, and this allows objects to snap to key points on other objects, such as nodes, edges, or centers. As you can see, the edges of the two objects snap together. It also snaps to the center of the object. And lastly, we have snap to page, and this snaps objects to key points on the page, such as edges, corners, or the center. To turn off the snap view mode, simply go to view, then down here we have snap off. And now the snapping effect is turned off. You can press Alt Q on your keyboard to turn on or turn off the snapping effect. Moving on to the seventh and final section, we have the Workspace view mode, and under it we have Document Navigator, and this adds or removes the page properties at the bottom of the workspace. And lastly, you can choose to have the scroll bars. These are the scroll bars. So guys, that's all for this tutorial. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.